I was 34 years old, sitting in the most exclusive restaurant in Chicago, wearing the dress I had saved for months to buy, cream silk with crystals along the neckline, a Stella McCartney piece that cost me $3,000. The dessert had just arrived, a chocolate tower sparkling with gold leaf and a tiny firework. For one brief second, I allowed myself to feel proud. This was my night. Then Sophia looked up, 17 years old, my niece, eyes full of contempt. "You want to know what I think of your fancy life?" she said, rising with her glass. Before anyone could stop her, she hurled the cranberry cocktail straight at me. Cold liquid slapped my chest and face, soaking the silk. Red streaks bled down the fabric like open wounds. Gasps rippled through the room. Every table turned toward me. Sophia smirked. "Now you look as cheap as you really are." I froze, dripping, humiliated in front of my friends and a room full of strangers. Daniel half rose from his chair, but I lifted a hand to stop him. My mother leaned across the table, not to scold Sophia, but to pat her hand. Vanessa was already reaching for her purse, muttering, "We told you this place was too fancy." Inside me, something broke. The years of being the family ATM, the one who rescued them from eviction notices and broken cars, the sister who bought the sedan for Sophia and paid the insurance, the daughter whose promotions were brushed aside with backhanded compliments. It all came crashing down in one crimson-stained moment. I held myself upright even as the fabric clung cold against my skin. I smiled at the waiter hovering helplessly. "Thank you for coming," I said as my family walked out, leaving me ruined. But when I finally got home, hanging the destroyed dress in my bathroom, I pulled out my phone. I scrolled through 5 years of bank statements, thousands flowing from me to them, and then I opened social media. There it was, Sophia's blurry photo of me in the stained dress, captioned with mockery. My sister had liked it. My hands stopped shaking. The fantasy that someday they would love me enough had ended. In its place was clarity I had never known. I picked up my phone again. 2 calls. The first to my credit card company. The second to my lawyer. "If you've ever had family cross a line in public, tell me where you're watching from and what you would have done in my place." The calls were made, but before I tell you what happened the next morning, you need to understand why that moment in the restaurant felt like the final snap of a thread already stretched to breaking. I had been the responsible one my entire life. From childhood, the pattern was set. My mother clapped loudly for Vanessa's mistake-filled piano recital, but gave me a distracted nice job when my performance was flawless. When I earned scholarships, she called me lucky. When I landed my first job in Chicago, she questioned whether I'd have time for a career. Luck, not effort. Work, not worth. Meanwhile, Vanessa was 3 years older and doing her best. At 20, she dropped out of community college, pregnant with Sophia, cycling through boyfriends and minimum wage jobs. Mom praised her big heart. My achievements reduced to afterthoughts. And so, I became the safety net. "Nat, the landlord is threatening eviction." "Nat, the car broke down again." "Nat, Sophia has her dance recital. Could you wire some money?" The emergency credit card I had added Vanessa to? It became her passport to designer purses and weekend getaways. Every month, I paid the bill without protest. Family helps family, right? When Sophia turned 16, I bought her a safe sedan, registered in my name, insurance under my policy. I told her she could use it until she graduated. She pouted at the word use, not have. Entitlement was already ingrained. My mother enabled it all. Every backhanded compliment, every rationalization. Even as I rose in my career, late nights, 70-hour weeks climbing from coordinator to executive director, she found ways to minimize it. Money isn't everything, sweetheart. But Vanessa was so brave for thinking of taking online classes. The imbalance was suffocating, yet I kept hoping one day they'd see me. When I received my promotion to executive vice president, I called home, my heart full. My mother's response, "That's wonderful, honey. Did I tell you Vanessa is thinking about taking some online classes?" I could hear Sophia in the background making gagging noises while Vanessa muttered, "Must be nice. Some of us have real responsibilities, not just fancy offices." Still, I loved them. Still, I wanted their approval. That's why I planned my birthday so carefully. 3 months ahead, I snagged the private dining room at Alinea. I hunted for the perfect dress, a Stella McCartney sheath in cream silk with crystal beading. It cost more than I'd ever spent on clothing, but when I slipped it on, I felt worthy. I sent invitations 6 weeks before. My friends RSVP'd immediately. Kate from college, Jasmine from work, Daniel and Ryan from my building. Their responses were warm, joyful. My families were reluctant. "A Thursday night? That's a long drive, Natalie," my mother said. "We'll see. I'll have to check with Vanessa." "Alinea, isn't that super expensive?" Vanessa asked. "It's my treat for everyone." "Well, Sophia will need something to wear. She can't just show up in jeans." "I'll send money for a new outfit." That's the least you could do. It was always the least I could do. The day arrived. I pampered myself. Massage, facial, hair, makeup. By 6 o'clock, I was ready. The dress hugged perfectly, my hair fell in soft waves, my makeup subtle but strong. I looked like the woman I had fought to become. My friends arrived first, bearing thoughtful gifts and genuine smiles. "You look stunning," Kate whispered as she hugged me tight. We toasted with champagne, laughter filling the private room. For once, I felt celebrated. Then 7:30 came. My family hadn't arrived. The first course was served, the second nearly finished before they finally walked in. Mom in her usual semi-formal dress, Vanessa with irritation etched across her face, Sophia in a crop top and miniskirt inappropriate for the venue. No apology, just traffic was terrible. The conversation was stiff. My friends tried to engage. "Sophia, Natalie tells us you're quite the dancer." She shrugged, eyes glued to her phone. My mother jumped in. "Her teacher says she could go professional. She just needs better training. The studio in our town is so basic." I offered gently, "If Sophia is serious, I could look into summer intensives in Chicago." "We can't all afford to live in luxury high-rises, Natalie," Vanessa snapped. The table fell silent. Later, the toasts came. Kate raised her glass. "To Natalie, who has been my rock for 15 years, your kindness is matched only by your determination." Jasmine followed, then Daniel and Ryan, each with heartfelt words. My mother's turn. "Happy birthday, sweetheart. 34 already. Time flies." Vanessa, with a smirk. "To my little sister, always reaching for the stars while the rest of us stay on the ground." Sophia didn't even bother. The gifts came next. Leather portfolio embossed with my initials from Kate and Jasmine. A spa package from Daniel and Ryan. Thoughtful, personal. Vanessa handed me a scented candle in a clearance bag, the $10 tag still attached. The card was a gas station pickup. "Happy birthday, sis." I forced a smile. "Thank you, this is lovely." "We can't all afford fancy presents," Vanessa shot back, defensive. "Some of us have real expenses." Then the dessert arrived, a masterpiece of chocolate and edible flowers. "Happy birthday, Natalie," written in gold leaf. A sparkler drew attention from nearby tables. For one shining second, I felt joy. But across the table, Sophia's eyes darkened. She whispered to Vanessa. My mother leaned in. 3 pairs of eyes turned toward me. "Everything okay?" I asked lightly. "Just fine," my mother said. I offered peace. "I'm glad you came, Sophia. I know weeknights are tough." She looked at me directly. "Yeah, whatever. Must be nice to waste money like this when people are starving." "Be nice," Vanessa said half-heartedly. Daniel tried to redirect. "So Natalie mentioned you might be thinking about college, Sophia." She rolled her eyes. "Not everyone gets to go to college. Some of us have to work for a living." "I've been saving for your education," I offered carefully. "A trust fund, enough for community college, maybe more with scholarships." The table froze. Vanessa's face hardened. My mother's lips tightened. Sophia's hand clenched around her water glass. "You've just been sitting on a pile of money while we struggled?" Vanessa hissed. "That's not what I said. I set it aside for Sophia's future." "Always the savior," she sneered, always making the rest of us look bad. And then, Sophia's explosion, the cranberry cocktail arcing through the air, my dress ruined, my dignity shattered. That night, in the quiet of my apartment, I hung the stained dress in my bathroom like a war banner. My phone buzzed. Sophia's post already live. A photo of me captioned, "When rich auntie needs to be taken down a peg, #sorry, not sorry." Dozens of likes, including my sister's. I scrolled through years of statements, tens of thousands of dollars funneled into their lives. Photos of Sophia flaunting the car I bought, receipts of spa treatments and designer shopping trips Vanessa had charged to my card. Every transaction screamed at me. Every like on Sophia's cruel post stabbed me. And as I sat there, mascara streaking, one truth burned through the fog. Tomorrow morning, I would shut the tap off. Tomorrow morning, I shut the tap off. I woke earlier than usual, the city outside still gray, Lake Michigan a sheet of steel under the dawn. My head felt strangely clear, like the fog of years had finally burned away. Coffee steamed in my favorite mug while I spread folders across the table. Bank statements, credit card bills, registration papers for the sedan Sophia treated like her personal trophy. At exactly 8 o'clock, I dialed the credit card company. "Good morning, this is Natalie Wells. I need to remove an authorized user from my account immediately." The representative's voice was professional. "May I ask the reason for the removal?" "The authorized user has misused the card for non-emergency personal expenses against our agreement." "I understand, Miss Wells. Any pending charges we'll process, but we'll deactivate the card today and issue you a new number." "That's fine. Please rush the replacement." When the call ended, I stared at the silent phone. Years of indulgence ended in 10 minutes. A single conversation had done what my spine should have done long ago. Next came Thomas, a friend and lawyer. He picked up immediately. "Natalie, I heard about last night from Kate. Are you okay?" "I'm getting there. I need legal advice about a car." I laid it out, the sedan purchased in my name, insurance under me, Sophia using it daily. "You're on solid ground," Thomas assured. "It's legally yours. Verbal permission to use isn't the same as ownership. Reclaim it whenever you need." Relief flooded me. "Thank you, I'll document everything." Then I called the towing company. My voice didn't shake as I explained, vehicle retrieval, high school lot, proof of registration, and insurance ready to email. "We can schedule for 7:30 a.m., the dispatcher said. "Our drivers are trained to handle delicate situations. Please be discreet," I requested. "We understand." I hit send on the documents and sat back, one more thread untangled. By mid-morning, I rang Janet, my financial advisor. "I need to review everything. I'm ending family support." She didn't sound surprised. "I have time at 1 this afternoon. Bring your records." "Perfect." Before noon, my apartment looked like a war room. I laid out 5 folders on the dining table. Transfers to Vanessa, emergency card charges, car purchase agreement, insurance records, and social media screenshots. Each document screamed evidence. Each page was a mirror of how I had been used. Still, I knew facts weren't enough, so I opened my journal and began writing what I needed to say. Not accusations, not screaming, just facts. The total dollars, the years of giving, the betrayal of public humiliation. I practiced the words aloud, steady, not emotional. For the first time, I felt ready to face them without fear. Then the phone calls began. At 9:30, Vanessa's number flashed. I answered. "My card was declined at the gas station. There must be some mistake." "There's no mistake. I removed you as an authorized user." "You did what?" Her voice pitched high, angry. "I closed your access because of last night, and because of years before last night." "Are you serious? It was just a stupid dinner." "It was my birthday. Your daughter deliberately humiliated me, destroyed a $3,000 dress, and posted mocking videos. You liked those posts." Silence. Then, "So you're just cutting me off? How am I supposed to pay for anything?" "The way other adults do. With your own money." Her voice turned pleading. "Natalie, please, I have bills due. Sophia needs new dance shoes. Mom needs prescriptions." Guilt tugged like it always had, but I held firm. It's not my responsibility anymore. You selfish, she hissed. After everything I've done for you. What exactly have you done for me, Vanessa? Enlighten me. Nothing, just sputtering. I ended it. We'll discuss this in person at 3 o'clock, my apartment. I hung up. My hand trembled, but only from adrenaline, not doubt. Minutes later, another call. Sophia. My car is gone. Someone stole it from the school lot. It's not your car, it's mine. Registered and insured under my name. I arranged for it to be returned. You can't do that. How am I supposed to get to school, to dance? This is illegal. It's perfectly legal, and yes, it's a consequence of last night. But it was overdue. That car was always mine, loaned to you. Now it's reclaimed. Her breath hitched. Then came the sobs I knew too well, the manipulative cries. Please, Aunt Natalie, I need the car. I'll delete the posts. I'm sorry. I'm sorry too, I said softly, surprised to mean it. But my decision is final. We'll discuss further at 3. I hung up as she begged. The third call came from my mother. Her voice carried that well-practiced blend of disappointment and guilt. Natalie, what's this I hear about taking Sophia's car and canceling Vanessa's card over a little spilled drink? I gripped the phone tighter. That's a rather significant understatement. Yes, I reclaim my car and close the card. This family helps each other, she recited like scripture. We don't punish each other over small incidents. I agree family should help, but help should be reciprocal and appreciated, not demanded and mocked. Sophia is 17, Mom, old enough to know cruelty, old enough for consequences. She sighed heavily. What do you want? An apology? Fine. I'm sure they'll apologize if that's what it takes. What it takes for what? To get the money flowing again? That's the problem. An apology tied to money is meaningless. You're cutting off your own family. I'm setting boundaries. We'll discuss more at 3 o'clock. I hung up. By 11:30, the towing company confirmed. Vehicle secured, ma'am. A young lady tried to stop us, but documentation was clear. Car will be delivered to your building shortly. I thanked them, added a generous tip. My garage attendant handed me the keys around noon with a sympathetic smile. That girl insisted it was hers. Family misunderstanding, I said. At 1 o'clock, I sat across from Janet. Her spreadsheet glowed on the screen. Natalie, over 5 years, you've given more than $78,000, not including the car. My stomach tightened. She continued, had you invested instead, you'd have $122,000 more in your portfolio today. Without the drain, your retirement moves up at least 4 years. The numbers made my head swim. All that sacrifice, erased, dismissed as the least you could do. By 2, I was back in my apartment. The sedan sat in the garage downstairs, safely mine again. I brewed coffee, laid water glasses on the table, but nothing else. No snacks, no comfort. This was not a social visit. I set the folders in neat order. Transfers, statements, car, screenshots. Tablet charged, open to Sophia's post of me in the stained dress. Her friends' laughing comments, Vanessa's emojis. Then I sat in the silence. My journal lay open, words steady in black ink. I have loved you. I have supported you. And you have repaid that love with exploitation and humiliation. These are the facts. These are the consequences. At 2:55, my phone buzzed. Security downstairs. Miss Wells, 3 guests, Vanessa, Sophia, and Patricia. Send them up. I straightened my shoulders, glanced once more at the stained dress hanging in the bathroom, a crimson reminder. Then came the knock, 3 sharp raps that radiated fury through the wood. I rose, hand closing around the doorknob. The knock rattled through my apartment, 3 sharp blows that carried years of entitlement and rage. I tightened my grip on the doorknob, inhaled once, and pulled it open. Vanessa pushed past me without hesitation, her face flushed red, eyes flashing like she'd come ready for battle. Sophia trailed behind, eyes swollen from tears but still bristling with defiance. My mother entered last, lips pressed into the familiar mask of sorrowful martyrdom that had silenced me since childhood. They moved into my living room like an invading force. Vanessa paced near the window, arms crossed, fury radiating. Sophia collapsed onto the couch, arms folded tight. My mother set her purse down gently on the armchair, sighing as though she carried the weight of the world. I gestured toward the dining table where folders waited in neat stacks. "Please, sit down." "I'm not sitting anywhere until you explain yourself," Vanessa snapped, spinning to face me. "How dare you strand my daughter at school? How dare you cancel my credit card without warning?" Her voice rose with every word until it cracked against the ceiling. Sophia nodded vigorously, eyes bright with accusation. I stayed standing. "The car is registered in my name. I pay the insurance. It was never hers to keep." "You gave it to her," Vanessa shot back. "I allowed her to use it. There's a difference." My mother stepped forward, hands out like a peacekeeper. "Natalie, honey, I understand you're upset about what happened at your birthday dinner, but this response is extremely disproportionate." Her tone, soft, reasonable, drenched in superiority, was more cutting than Vanessa's shouting. I had heard it all my life. "You're overreacting, sweetheart. Money isn't everything. Don't work so hard." The words dug at my chest. For a heartbeat, I faltered. "Is it disproportionate," I asked slowly, "to reclaim what's mine after years of being disrespected?" Sophia broke in, voice cracking. "How am I supposed to get to school, to dance? This isn't fair." Her tears filled the room like smoke, curling into corners, suffocating me with guilt. For years, that exact tone had opened my wallet. For years, I had answered her tears with a transfer of funds, a new outfit, a reliable car. Now for a moment I felt that old reflex. Maybe I was being cruel. Maybe I was overreacting. Maybe— "No, Natalie," my mother interrupted firmly, reading my silence as weakness. "This feels like punishment, and families shouldn't punish each other." Punishment. The word burned. I looked at Sophia, whose mascara-streaked cheeks made her look younger than 17, and then at Vanessa, whose jaw clenched as if she were the victim. My mother's eyes met mine with quiet condemnation. I felt cornered. Memories surged like a tide, sitting at a childhood piano recital, fingers trembling while my mother clapped for Vanessa's broken notes. Graduation night, when my dress was stained by spilled wine and she'd dismissed it as an accident. Last month, when I called with news of my promotion and she'd shifted the conversation back to Vanessa's bravery for thinking of online classes. Now here again, they were telling me I was the one in the wrong, that my boundaries were cruelty, that their dependence was my responsibility. My chest tightened. I sat down heavily in the nearest chair, pressing my palms to my thighs to keep them from shaking. Maybe they were right. Maybe I was selfish. Maybe cutting them off was heartless. Vanessa seized on my silence. "You see? You can't even defend yourself. This is who you are. Cold, judgmental, acting like you're better than us because you live in some fancy high-rise. Do you even hear yourself?" Her voice climbed higher. Sophia buried her face in her hands. My mother's sigh filled the room like a verdict. For the first time that day, doubt whispered in my ear. What if I had gone too far? What if I was, after all, the villain they always painted me to be? I glanced at the folders on the table, thick with numbers, receipts, documents, but I didn't reach for them. Not yet. Instead, I stared at the window, the city skyline gleaming beyond the glass, lights beginning to flicker against the early evening. My reflection looked back at me, pale and tired, eyes uncertain. The silence stretched. My mother shook her head slowly. "Natalie, sweetheart, you don't have to do this. We're family. Whatever happened at dinner, it doesn't justify all this. Let it go. Let it go." The phrase dug like a hook in my chest. How many times had I let it go? Every insult, every dismissal, every exploit disguised as an emergency. I had let it go until I was hollow. And now, when I finally demanded respect, they called it punishment. My throat tightened, words caught there unsaid. Vanessa pressed on, smelling blood. "You think you're so strong, but look at you, alone in this apartment with your papers and your perfect job. You have no idea what real responsibility looks like." I flinched. Alone. No husband, no children. Was that what they saw when they looked at me? A hollow success dressed in silk sitting on piles of money while they struggled? For one raw moment, I believed them. Maybe I really was cold. Maybe the cranberry stain was just proof of what they'd always thought. that beneath the polish, I was nothing. Sophia sniffled loudly. "You ruined everything. I hate you." The words landed heavy, pressing me deeper into the chair. My mother's silence was worse. She didn't correct Sophia. She didn't defend me. She just sat there, sorrowful eyes telling me I had brought this upon myself. A wave of exhaustion rolled through me. I wanted to close my eyes, to crawl back into the role I knew. Provider, forgiver, the one who fixed everything. It would be so easy to cave, to pull out my checkbook, to let them win. But then my gaze drifted again to the folders on the table, neat stacks of paper, each one carrying 5 years of evidence. Numbers don't cry, numbers don't manipulate, numbers don't lie. I straightened in my chair, fingers brushing the edge of the nearest folder. My pulse steadied. Enough. I turned back to them. My voice was low but clear. Let's talk facts. Let's talk facts. The words landed heavy in the air. I pulled the first folder toward me and slid it across the table. These are my bank records from the past 5 years. Transfers to your account, Vanessa. Every time the landlord was threatening eviction. Every time the car broke down. Every time Sophia needed something. The total comes to $47,632. Vanessa's eyes widened slightly. She snatched the folder, flipping through pages, but the numbers stared back in black ink. Undeniable. I reached for the second folder. These are credit card statements, the emergency card I added you to, supposed to be for genuine crisis. I tapped the page. Designer clothing, restaurant meals, concert tickets, spa treatments, the total $3,418, not what most people would call emergencies. Vanessa's face flushed. So what? You had the money. My mother cleared her throat. Family helps family, Natalie. You've been blessed with success. I cut her off, my voice sharper than I expected. Blessed? I worked 60 to 70-hour weeks for years, sacrificed relationships, nights, weekends, every promotion I earned. Nothing about this was luck. Silence. I pulled out the next folder. This is the purchase agreement for the car Sophia's been driving, $32,000, plus about $4,000 a year in insurance and maintenance, all paid by me. Sophia shifted uncomfortably, finally looking at the papers. Her lips parted, but no words came. Together, I continued, that's over $80,000 in support over 5 years, money I gave freely out of love. I reached for my tablet, turned the screen toward them. Sophia's Instagram feed glowed, cruel captions under photos and videos, me holding a cheap candle, my stained dress, comments from her friends mocking me, and there, at the bottom, Vanessa's laughing emoji. My voice was steady, and this is how my generosity was repaid, with public humiliation, with mockery. Sophia squirmed. It was just a joke. A joke, I repeated. A joke is when everyone laughs. Did you see me laughing when you threw cranberry juice on a $3,000 dress? Did you think I'd find it amusing to be ridiculed online? You can afford another one, she muttered. That's not the point. The point is respect, basic decency. I turned to Vanessa. And you encouraged it. You liked those posts. You commented. Vanessa's voice wavered. I didn't think it was that serious. And you, I said to my mother, when Sophia drenched me in front of the entire restaurant, you patted her hand. You comforted her, not me. My mother looked genuinely confused. She was upset. She was upset because she had just humiliated me deliberately, and you treated her as the victim. I stood then, pacing to the window. The city lights twinkled like stars trapped in glass. My reflection looked steadier now, spine straight. For years, I said slowly, I supported you financially and emotionally. All I ever asked for was appreciation and respect. Last night showed me I can't even expect that. Vanessa swallowed. So you're just cutting us off completely? I'm establishing boundaries. The credit card is canceled. The financial support is over. The car is mine again. Sophia's voice cracked. How am I supposed to get to dance? To school? The same way thousands of other teenagers do. Walk. Take the bus. Ask a friend for a ride. That's not fair. Neither is being mocked by someone I've supported since birth. My mother leaned forward, desperate. Natalie, this feels like punishment. Family doesn't punish. This isn't punishment. These are natural consequences. When you mistreat someone, their support may end. The reality began to sink in. Vanessa's face went pale. The rent's due next week. I can't make it without your help. I'm sure you'll figure something out. Maybe a second job, maybe a roommate. And Sophia's dance classes? Her college fund? The college fund still exists. It's in trust. It will remain for her education, but everything else, all the extras, are done. Sophia's eyes widened. So you're not taking away the college money? No, that money was always for education. It still is. But don't mistake it for a blank check. Heavy silence pressed down. Their usual tactics, anger, guilt, tears, were failing. My mother finally whispered, I can't believe you'd do this to your own family, after everything we've been through together. I turned, locking eyes with her. What exactly have we been through together, Mom? When have you supported me? When have you celebrated my success without jealousy? When have you shown me 1/10 of the consideration I've shown you? She opened her mouth, but no answer came. Vanessa tried a new tactic. Okay, we messed up, we're sorry, what do we need to do to fix this? This isn't about a hasty apology. This is about broken patterns that have lasted decades. It will take time and effort to repair, if repair is even possible. So that's it? You're done with us? Sophia's voice cracked, fear breaking through her bravado. I softened just slightly. I'm not done with you. I'm done enabling you. I'm done being your ATM. I'm done accepting cruelty as normal. I gathered the folders into a neat stack, set them aside. I'd like each of you to think about our relationship, what you've contributed versus what you've taken, whether your treatment of me reflects the love you claim to feel. For the first time, uncertainty flickered in my mother's eyes, maybe even the start of remorse. What happens now? She asked quietly. Now you go home. You learn to live within your means. You decide if having me in your lives is worth treating me with respect. I walked to the door, opened it wide. The gesture was final. I love you, I said, surprising myself with how true it felt, but I will no longer accept being loved conditionally or treated with disrespect. They rose in silence. Vanessa clutched her purse, eyes down. Sophia brushed past, muttering under her breath, but not loud enough for me to catch. My mother paused last, her hand grazing my arm. I never meant to hurt you, she said softly. I know, I answered, but you did, repeatedly, and now we all live with the consequences. I closed the door behind them. The latch clicked, sealing the quiet around me. For the first time in my life, I felt truly alone, but it wasn't emptiness. It was freedom. The weight of years had fallen away, leaving space I didn't yet know how to fill. I leaned against the door, breath trembling. The folders sat on the table, silent witnesses. Outside, the hallway echoed with the fading sound of my family's footsteps. I knew one thing, whatever came next, it would not be the same. When the door clicked shut behind them, silence filled my apartment like a new kind of air, lighter, sharper, unfamiliar. I leaned against the wood, chest rising and falling, realizing the chains I'd carried for years had finally been cut. The first month was brutal. My phone buzzed endlessly. Angry texts from Vanessa, manipulative voicemails from my mother, tearful pleas from Sophia. I answered only when questions were direct and factual. No, the credit card will not be reinstated. Yes, the car is legally mine. Each message cost me strength, but I held the line. Then, silence. 2 weeks of it, at once painful and peaceful. Until one evening, Sophia texted, "Got a job at the mall, saving for a car, not asking for money, just wanted you to know." I stared at the screen, tears blurring the words. For the first time, she wasn't demanding, she wasn't mocking, she was taking responsibility. I replied simply, "I'm proud of you. That's not easy." 3 months later, Vanessa called. Her voice was tired but steady. I found a new job, office manager, better pay, moved into a smaller apartment I can actually afford. She hesitated. "Thank you for forcing me to stand on my own. I hated you for it at first, but I needed the push." It was the closest thing to gratitude I'd ever heard from her. My mother was the hardest. Decades of patterns don't dissolve overnight. Our weekly calls began stiff, her tone still tilting toward guilt trips. Vanessa and Sophia are suffering without your help. Each time I redirected. I'm glad Vanessa found a better job. That must be a relief. Slowly, she adjusted. She started asking about my work, my friends, even my hobbies. One day, she admitted, "You sound different, Natalie. Happier." "I am," I said. "Setting boundaries has been good for me." She was quiet a long time before whispering, "I wish I'd seen you more clearly before." It wasn't a full apology, but it was a start. Meanwhile, I rediscovered my own life. Without the constant drain of family emergencies, I had time and money for things that were mine alone. I signed up for a photography class, something I'd always wanted. I dated again, no longer tethered by Vanessa's late-night crises. I even took a 2-week trip to Italy, wandering cobblestone streets with a camera in hand, breathing in freedom I hadn't known since I was a girl. As my 35th birthday approached, I hesitated to celebrate. The memory of last year's disaster still stung, but Kate insisted. "You can't let one night steal birthdays from you forever. Celebrate differently this time." So we gathered at my mother's house. No designer dress, no 5-star restaurant, just family, close friends, a home-cooked meal. My mother prepared my childhood favorites: meatloaf, mashed potatoes, green beans with butter. Simple, grounding. Around the table, things felt different. Not perfect, but trying. Sophia handed me a handmade card, carefully drawn, bright with effort. Vanessa's gift was modest but thoughtful, something within her real budget. My mother raised her glass first, surprising everyone. "To my daughter Natalie," she said, voice steady, "who had the courage to stop enabling us, even when it hurt, who loved us enough to show us a better way to be family. I'm proud of the woman you are, and grateful I finally get to know you." Glasses clinked, emotions thick in the air. Later, as guests drifted out, Sophia pulled me aside into the garden. She pressed an envelope into my hand. "I saved from my job. It's not much, but I want to repay you, at least symbolically, for the car, for everything." Inside was $200 in carefully folded bills. "You don't need to do this," I began. "I want to," she said firmly. "It's important you know I understand now." I hugged her, holding back tears. It wasn't the money. It was the accountability, the respect. Driving home that night, I thought about the year behind me, the humiliation that had broken me open, the boundaries that had remade me, the family who was slowly learning to stand on their own. Sometimes the greatest act of love is saying no. Sometimes the hardest boundaries are the ones that save us. And sometimes family has to break before it can be rebuilt. My family wasn't perfect. We still had far to go. But for the first time, hope felt real. Respect was on the table where resentment had once sat. And I knew this. By standing firm in my worth, I had given them the chance to rise, and given myself permission to be truly loved. If you've ever had to set boundaries with family, share what helped you most, and tell me where you're watching from. Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today.